guess we're back on. Hey, we're back.
Howdy, y'all.
We're back in person and everything.
I know.
Well, welcome back to Vinyl with Taste. I'm Old School Pat.
I'm Dance Hall Neil.
Today
I don't remember how to do it.
Right. Today we're going to bring you some roots and dub. Finally getting into the dub. And this is like a running series now we've been doing, and I think it's fun. So I wanted to get to something I didn't get to last
And I
time.
think it sucks. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Project.
The first one I wanted to show y'all was this double CD release
I was just kidding, by the way.
called, it's by Prince Al and Junior Ross, and it's called I Can Hear the Children Singing.
Pat, with these dust covers, I never got the dust cover.
And
I never get the dust covers.
basically what you have here is...
Does Blood and Fire, do they do dust covers often?
They did on a few of these, and this being one of them. What you have here is two albums that were all produced by Tapazuki, however you want to pronounce that. He worked for Bunny Stryker Lee, very famous.
Patti Smith's mate.
And he was friends with Patti Smith. And arguably a better producer than DJ. So
I think so.
this was this comprises two of his releases. Prince Allah's Heaven Is My Roof album. And the second CD was first compiled by Tapazuki in the early 90s. It was called Babylon Fall by Junior Ross and the Spear. Excellent hard roots productions, two classic albums, one CD. You know, couldn't let the roots go without talking about that one. Another guy I want to talk about is Gregory Isaacs, which he flits in and out of some of these shows. In the Roots period, him and Dennis Brown were the top-selling Jamaican artists of the latter half of the 70s. And,
As it should have been.
You know, they were in Jamaica. They were the two big dogs.
I like both of them, obviously, but if I had to pick, I'd go with Gregory Isaacs. That's me personally, because I think pound for pound, he doesn't have as many crossover albums as Dennis Brown. Because Dennis Brown, it doesn't work as well as crossover as Gregory Isaacs does. In my opinion, I don't think it works as well at all.
Yeah.
Because Gregory Isaacs, he had to be in it. Everything that was done, he had to okay it. I think Dennis Brown let some stuff slide. They're both into like harder drugs though too, so
That's true. Well, at his height, I think Gregory Isaacs was, a reggae phenomenon. This album here, Soon Forward, was put out by Virgin, and it included his monster hit in Jamaica called Soon Forward. It had a great song that was, for some reason, not released as a single. The opening track, Universal Tribulation, was great. Mr. Brown was great. This is probably my favorite Gregory Isaacs album. This is Soon Forward. But here, the one that came out before it, Mr. Isaacs, was good too. This is the Blood and Fire reissue of Mr. Isaacs.
what year did that come out with Mr. Isaacs?
It came out in '75, I believe, in Jamaica.
Awesome.
2001, a Blood and Fire reissue.
Nice.
But the reissue has, the extended tracks and dub versions on it. So here's what the original cover looked like.
That's really
for
cool.
Mr. Isaacs.
Isn't it great in Jamaican music? You can keep going and going and going.
Yeah.
You just I'll talk about slum and dub.
Yeah,
I think I talked about it before, but not in this context. I like it. It's not one of the more wilder dub albums, but and of course you have little snippets of guess who's vocal in it.
Yeah.
Gregory Isaacs. I wanted to show this to talk about another album that I've never been able to find and I've never been able to buy, but I've tried several times. Is Big Youth's dub album. You got that?
Reggae G Dim Dub
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. I don't have that. I wish I had that.
It's hard to find.
Is it?
And I haven't really even listened. I haven't listened to it. I know. I don't know if it's on YouTube.
I'm gonna look it up after
I
this.
feel like I've tried to find it on YouTube and couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Because not everything is on YouTube.
Right, that's true. Another, let's say, sort of mainstream reggae artist of the Jamaican 70s was Horace Andy, and I brought a couple of his out here. This was a Prince Jammy production. Everton de Silver did the vocal for In the Light, which is what I'm showing you here.
Who did the vocal?
Everton De Silva was the producer of the album In the Light, which is probably Horace Andy's best album as far as like a complete album goes, as opposed to a compilation.
He went forever. Still going.
Yeah, and he's still going. He collaborated with Massive Attack, and
I
which
wonder
I haven't
what
even heard, but
I wonder what that sounds like.
this is a twofer with In the Light and In the Light dub on it. So
Nice.
the
Is that a
dub,
double disc or just a one disc?
It's a one disc packed, and Prince Jammy did the dub. And Prince Jammy, I don't think he ever did a heavier dub than he did on the In the Light set than he did.
Was that a Blood and Fire?
It is. Here's a good one. Kind of a lesser known. Another gatefold sleeve. Ooh. It's Joe Higgs, who was a mentor to the Wailers. And if you listen to this, you'll hear this guy. You'll be like, "Wow, he sounds like Peter Tosh." Well, it's probably the case that Peter Tosh sounded like him. Because he was the older guy. But this is Life of Contradiction. It was his 1974 album. This is out on Pressure Sounds.
Pressure Sounds is a great label from the UK. Like the copycat thing runs deep in Jamaica to this day.
Yeah.
But I look at Sean Paul.
Yeah.
Super Cat.
He sounds just like Super Cat. Yeah. And he I think he's acknowledged that as well.
Yeah, he's not
Or
hiding.
at least he used to.
He's not. Well, it doesn't come up anymore. Super Cat's he's out.
This album's kind of an underground album though, in that Joe Higgs. This album came out at the height of Bunny Striker Lee's dominance and Flying Cymbal sound, and this did not sound like what was happening in Jamaican dance all the time.
Again with the dust cover.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand you and these fucking dust covers.
What are you supposed to throw them away? I keep them. I like
No,
them.
I don't get them.
Yeah.
I ordered a CD. I do not get. I'm not getting these dust covers.
Oh, yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but
I feel like I'm being ripped off.
Oh, yeah. Right.
These CDs are expensive.
They are. This is let me show you this one. This is Max Romeo's Open the Iron Gate, 1973-77, which is basically a reissue of his Revelation Time LP. The reason I tell you that is because not just to describe the CD, but because Revelation Time has just been reissued on VP, so you can get an even newer reissue than this one. Revelation Time by Max Romeo. It's way better than the album War in Babylon. I mean, it's just better.
That's early. Well, that's earlier, right? Earlier.
Yeah, it's goes
War in
back to
Babylon
73.
was 76.
Yeah.
It was later.
But it's a good set by Max Romeo.
If he's still rolling with songs, I don't know about it.
Yeah.
I wonder. It makes you curious, though, doesn't it? I don't know.
The biggest selling reggae single of 1976 was "I'm Still Waiting" by Delroy Wilson. It was a Bob Marley cover. It was on this album, Delroy Wilson Sarge. And if you're a fan of Delroy Wilson, you have to have this Roots era Delroy Wilson album, which is produced by Louis Chalmers, and it's out on some no-name label, right? What is it on here? It doesn't even give you the label. It must be a Chalmers thing. Made in Jamaica.
Is it Ross?
It's not Ross.
It might be his own label then.
Produced by Louis Chalmers, distributed by Shelley Power Records, Kingston, Jamaica.
No shit.
So I mean, this is not an easy CD to find.
I'm not familiar with that label.
But none of the songs on Sarge are originals. They are all covers. However, I mean, the stuff that he was doing was not your normal covers that you would think. Like, he covered Jerry Lee Lewis's Green Green Grass of Home.
Nice.
He did updates of Girl I Got a Date, which was Alton Ellis. He did Moving Away, Ken Booth, My Conversation, Slim Smith. Cool Operator. Yeah, I like my Delroy. Another overlooked group of the 70s Roots era would be the Chantels.
Nice.
Chantels and Friends, Children of Jah, collects singles on Roy, what's his name? Roy Francis, his Phase 1 label. And the song titles really tell it all. Like, you have Children of Jah, Path I've Chosen, Assemble Not Thyself, Desperate Times. The singer of the band was shot dead as he attempted to pull an armed robbery. off at I don't even know how to pronounce the word. It was a bauxite factory. So that's some heavy history there. Those guys. Oh yeah, how about Israel Vibration?
Yeah.
You can't finish out the Roots era without talking about Israel Vibe. This was their debut album. It was called the same thing, the same song. Same song was their second single. Why Worry was their first single. And never mind the stupid looking cover. This is one of the best, late '70s Roots albums that
Ross
ever
Records.
was put out. I guess this was the Ross version. These three guys were, raised in an orphanage. They were all stricken with polio, and they developed a very unique style of harmonizing with each other that is really instantly recognizable. And Apple, he just died.
Yeah,
Apple,
yep.
Of this band, just passed this
And
year.
they were still sparsely recording before that. I don't know if they are now.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah. Little Roy, another underground Roots guy. Little Roy recorded very early on for many producers, but it wasn't until he set up his own Tafari label that he really got the classics going. Songs like Prophecy, Christopher Columbus, Don't Cross the Nation, produced by Scratch, is also collected on here. But yeah, Little Roy is somebody you should check out for fans of more obscure Roots. As is Fred Locks, whose 1975 hit Black Star Liners is the title of this CD. Fred Locks, devout Rasta man, didn't care about hits, didn't care about anything, and once dancehall started up, I don't know what happened to him. He just
fell off.
Yeah,
Just like kind of Icon fell off like that. But he had an album after that.
he did. Now that one I'd like to hear. I've never heard that one. Pablo Moses. He's another guy that maybe a lot of Americans might not know. Pablo Moses. Revolutionary Dream was a big Jamaican hit from this album. I'm on a Grasshopper is on this album. It's like a weed anthem. This is on the Shinachi label, which put out a lot of Pablo and stuff.
Sinachi.
Oh, there's one here.
I don't want to be out of order. This is I just recently got this. Yabby You, Fleeing from the City. I think it's 1985. I'm pretty sure from what I was listening to. It's not good. Of course, it won't say in it at all. But we're gonna say 1985. If you want to correct me, please comment. So I'm just jamming to this. I haven't listened enough to it to even rate it, but I mean it's definitely not his dub stuff. But since we've talked about, are we on dub?
Yeah, I mean, let me just throw. This is my last one, all right? And I won't bug you with Roots again for a while.
Not until we do a random.
Yeah, until we do random. I just wanted to show this one. This is kind of later on. It was on the Nighthawk label.
Nighthawk.
Justin Hines and the Dominoes. Travel with Love.
I love the Nighthawk label.
Yeah, they got some. It was produced by, in much the same way that people in the '60s belatedly recorded some of the blues guys. This is a St. Louis, Missouri record producer that just started recording these groups way after their '70s heyday, but in the '80s, with the who's who of the Roots musicians. This is, for example, this album is one of the last albums that Carlton Barrett, the Wailers drummer, ever played on, and his playing on it is fantastic. All the musicians on this album are fantastic. Who we got here? Drums, Carlton Barrett, Family Man on bass, lead guitar by Chinna, rhythm guitar Biggie Bunny, keyboards Gladdy, Tyrone Down, percussion Scully, Sky Juice, horns by Tommy McCook, Deadly Headley, Bobby Ellis. So this is like the full reggae band.
Full Monty.
In the digital age. And this album stands up.
See, that's a Motley Crue right there. The only Motley Crue you'll ever be hearing about on our show.
Yeah, that's true. And now we finally could get to straight dub, which Neil and I have been collecting for quite a long time. And I'm not going to give you a history lesson on dub like I've done in some of the shows. Like if you don't know dub reggae, then I don't know what to say. But the King Tubby, he's the master Jamaicans pioneered the remix. What we nowadays think of the remix was done by a Jamaican person.
Yep.
Osborne Ruddock.
Many things were.
That was his real name.
I'll show you
go
the,
for it.
since we talked about the Yabby U.
Mhm.
This is Dub It to the Top. I really like Yabby U stuff. Did I talk about the Willie Williams?
You did do Messenger Man.
Okay, yeah. And I like his ideology because you don't hear a lot of like the Jesus kind of dreadlock
Sure.
correlation like you do with Yabby U. And I think Willie Williams, I think Yabby U is a gigantic influence on him to
You're
do
right.
that because I mean he didn't come right out of the gate doing it, you know, like Yabby U did.
This compilation does include one of Yabiu's 1970s dub albums, and I think the big hits were Zambia Dub and Mash Down Room. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. Blood and Fire, you know, it's getting harder and harder to find certain Blood and Fire albums. But since we're talking about Blood and Fire, before you get to the next one, I just want to, because I don't know if I did talk about it before. I don't think I did.
No, I don't think you did.
But I wanted to talk about the compilations that Blood and Fire put out. This is Dubwise, which is Dubwise and Otherwise #2, and they also have like #1 and I think possibly a third. You can buy these. These days, I say they serve as a budget compilation. You can buy them for $3 to $7 a piece, you know, and I think it's a good way to. Like, you probably wouldn't have much use for them, but somebody who wanted to get into checking out the catalog could do it in an inexpensive way. Because some Blood and Fire CDs will cost you $20, $30, $40 now, but the compilations are still, $3, $4, $5.
Yeah.
And Dubwise, I mean, you got the Impact All Stars, Easy Come Dub, Back of Wire Dub from King Tubby. Inner Circle with Fat Man Rhythm Section, General Admin. So it's a wide variety from their label.
It definitely is. I wanted to show you a couple versions of this next one. What label is this? Okay, so it's Jamaican Recordings.
Is it Kingston Recordings or is it?
This one's Jamaican Recordings, P.O. Box. Oh, it's London. Okay, so this came out in 2013, this reissue. But it's a reissue of 90 The Observer and the All-Stars of King Tubby's dubbing with The Observer, which is one of the earliest dub records that came out, 1973. And it was King Tubby deconstructing a lot of 90s rhythms, songs that had been done by Dennis Brown, show up on here. And just a really excellent classic killer dub record, without a lot of the stuff that'll come on later, like the gimmicky stuff, the toilets flushing and the doorbells ringing,
dogs barking.
Dubbing with Observer also crops up in this long deleted Trojan double CD called King Tubby's Special 1973 to 76, which was when did this come out? Trojan in the 80s. The first disc is Dubbing with the Observer. The second disc collects really rare King Tubby produced dub sides that I really never saw crop up on anything else. So
with that Baby Got Back CD case.
Yeah. I mean, it's got that jewel CD case of the double. This was one of the first dub CDs I ever got, and I don't think it was one of those things where like it's you play it constantly. It never leaves your CD player for like 2 months or something.
Yeah.
It was like that. One of my favorite dub albums
Pick a Dub
of all time is Pick a Dub, Keith Hudson.
Blood and Fire again.
It is Blood and Fire on this one, although it has been reissued since Blood and Fire did it on a different label.
Was it North Parade probably? Because they bought. Did you hear that they bought out the Blood and Fire catalog so they can now do reissues?
Oh, okay. I noticed that. Well, I just noticed they're advertising that Revelation Time Max Romeo CD we were talking about all over Instagram right now, and I'm like, what?
That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
North Parade.
Yeah. Pick a Dub. It is some of Keith Hudson's earliest productions, dub-wise, and
dub-wise,
and the whole thing, start to finish, is a killer dub album. Very atmospheric. Very, I mean, if you only have to listen to like 1 or 2 dub albums off this entire show, I would say make it this one and Blackboard Jungle Dub. Personally, you know.
I tell you what. I don't know if we have time to meet for me to spiel about how I feel about Blackboard Jungle. My favorite Perry dub may be Cloak and Dagger, and I feel like I went into that in the last episode or two. Huh?
Should I do it?
You can do it.
Okay. All right. We were going to save this to the end, but I'm just going to bust it out a little early since we were talking about it. This is my vinyl version of Blackboard Jungle Dub, which was...
I'm going to save this rant for next time.
All right. But this was one of the earliest dub records ever came out. It was 1973. It was a collaboration between King Tubby and Lee Perry. It was both of them, you know, at their most experimental, innovative
right.
heights.
And these aren't my issues with it.
Yeah.
My issues, it's a fan thing.
Yeah.
But that's cool. That's on vinyl. Go through some vinyl.
All right. Let me.
You know, we are vinyl with taste, so
Here's
it's important.
Here's another vinyl of Lee Perry, another dub album, Super 8, which came out a few years.
So some of these we're revisiting, but it's nice to show the vinyl versions and what they look like.
If we're talking about dub, you have to talk about Super 8 because it's it kind of bookends Blackboard Jungle, like
roast fish and cornbread.
Yeah, and it's this one's all Lee Perry. Classic record. I'll show you another dub album.
Ice Cream Truck.
Yeah. I don't know if y'all can hear that. The ice cream guy's here. Here's Augustus Pablo Presents Ital Dub, mixed by King Dubby.
I have the CD. I like the CD. Artwork is different.
Yeah.
Dub Master.
Yeah, it says mixed by the Dub Master, King Tubby. He was. Some of King Tubby's mixes also crop up on Good Vibes,
which you talked about before.
Yeah, I won't belabor the point on this except to say that the vocals are followed by really, really good dubs. One of King Tubby's earliest dub albums that was ever released that was just attributed to King Tubby was called Dub from the Roots. And it's all, you know, Stryker Lee Productions, mixed by King Tubby. When did this come out? 1974. And it's one of the two albums that Bunny Lee put out right off the bat with King Tubby. It was the first one. Dub from the Roots was the first one he did. Interesting in that you hear a lot of like Stryker Lee, Tubby dub, and you'll hear, you know, lots of snatches of vocals and stuff. This has no vocals in it. It's just pure like instrumental.
So there's no
dub.
clips of it. Like,
Right.
I want to talk about the Carlton, the black and white dub.
Oh yeah, this is old.
About that.
This is some early
This is
shit.
Carlton Patterson with King Tubby, black and white label, black and white in dub. I like, you know, it's definitely one that's not crazy. This one's definitely not gimmicky. Probably one of the more sparse dub
Wow, that's on
albums
Hot Pot.
that I have.
Hot Pot Records.
Black and white in dub.
Which I believe is what Steve Barrow did after Blood and Fire folded. He did Hot Pot.
No shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, I do now.
We talked about in an earlier episode, Jabba, which was mixed at Randy's studio by Earl Thompson, and I brought this out. This is Forward the Bass, Impact All Stars, dub from Randy's, 1972 to 75, which basically is comprised of an early dub album called Randy's Dub. Yeah, I think that was dub from Randy's. And the first I read about this one was in a High Times magazine in the 90s that showed you, they were praising it, how good it was.
You'd be surprised what you'd be able to find in certain magazines.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to talk to you about this earlier when I was telling you about the new Buju Banton. In 2003, I had bought a Thrasher magazine from the mall, and and there was an interview with Buju Banton who praised Vibes Cartel in 2003, and that's super early for him. I didn't start listening to Vibes Cartel until 2006, and I had been into reggae for 3 years. So that's pretty. So you'd be. Let's talk about this because I have a couple questions for you on this. Well, actually, a question in particular.
Sure.
Blood and Fire. Is it J.A. Man All Stars or Ja Man All Stars?
I always call it Ja Man
Ja Man All
All-Stars.
Stars in Dub Zone. This is something also newer to me. I bought this during the quarantine.
Nice.
So I've been listening to it for maybe like a month, maybe 2 months.
Nice.
And I know they were a backing band, right? Jamaican backing band.
Yep.
The
Ja Man was the record label. It was run.
so this is the band.
The All Stars was his band he used. You're correct. And but Ja Man was the label it was on, and it was a label run out of Greenwich Farm. And I can't pronounce the guy's name. That did it.
Let me ask you this too. Like,
Yeah.
there's, because I'm trying to buy different albums from Blood and Fire right now of things that I think are essential, for my collection.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big thing where it's like there's a regular copy of the CD, and then there's promotional copies.
Mm-hmm.
And they say like some of the art is different. Like this says promotional copy, but do you have this?
Yeah, it's the same. It's the
Does
same
it look the
color.
same,
Looks
like
the same.
the CD and everything?
Everything looks the same.
Oh, I guess it doesn't really matter.
Interesting.
But yeah, this is like the only thing that's different is this promotional copy, not for sale in the back.
Oh yeah, yep, that's about it. Oh man, let me show you guys this one. King Tubby's Prophecy of Dub, which was King Tubby deconstructing some of Yabba U's toughest rhythms from his Conquering Lion album.
That's fantastic. 76?
Yeah. Put out first in the 76 in the Prophets label. And anyway, I mean, if y'all know Conquering Lion and, being a foundation classic, essential reggae CD, this would be the dub-wise version of it. And no vocals in this either. It's all purely instrumental. And I actually heard this first. Like, I listened to the dub versions before I ever heard the original versions of these songs. So it was like, wow, okay. Like I didn't know what the vocals would sound like.
I've done that before. I think every Jamaican music fan that goes back that far does that at some point with some artists. I mean, you have to.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get everything. With dub being so prevalent in 74 to 78.
Yeah. Neil brought this last time or recently, but this is a different version of the King Tubby's Meet the Rockers Uptown album, different artwork on Shinachi label.
Sonachi.
And again, one of the earliest dub CDs I ever got was King Tubby's Meet the Rockers Uptown. It's a very famous dub album, and probably the song King Tubby Meet the Rockers Uptown is the song most associated with King Tubby ever. Like that's the greatest, the single track that most people, I think.
Good old Tubby.
Yeah.
Is it a coincidence that Tubby was never Tubby, but Jammy was pretty Tubby?
They're both kind of tubby, but Jamie was tubbier.
Tubby wasn't Tubby.
He was a little tubby, wasn't
You
he?
think it was Tubby? I don't know. I mean, I'm just looking at early pictures.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was Tubby. He was kind of fit.
Yeah.
Jamie was Tubby.
When you see Tubby, like they have his picture.
We're gonna Google this later.
Yeah. When you see him,
Yeah.
I don't think most people expect to see.
Holy moly!
All right. Well, they don't expect to see this bald guy,
Right.
that made this music, but yeah, unfortunately, King Tubby was murdered over his wristwatch,
Yeah.
cold blood in his own neighborhood in 1989. He had just made the transition from, he was known as a mixer, but now he was producing records.
Yeah.
And it's just a shame. But
I think he would have kept going.
Oh yeah, definitely would have.
I mean, I think he kind of did with Jammy.
Mm-hmm. The people that Tubby had under his wings were Prince Jammy, Scientist.
Yeah, but Jammy though, I think is probably
Philip Smart.
Jammy's the one that went on to really. I mean, good God.
Yeah.
He's like was top pupil.
He was. Jammy's again huge. He went from Prince Jammy to King Jammy's in the '80s when he ruled the digital era. And Scientist, who started out as like a teenage apprentice to Tubby, his productions with the Roots Radix defined the early dancehall sound before the digital era.
So here's a Scientist. This is Scientist Meets the Roots Radix
Nice.
dub. I think it's later, so it's like 79. Or is that saying 79 to 80? I think it was originally put out.
I bet it's heavy ass rhythm.
It is. It's heavy for the time, you know, without being like I said, I know it's either 79 or 80, but you know you're not hearing rhythms that aren't dance hall rhythms. Do you want to talk about the African Double Mighty? You want to save it?
No, let's do it because we were talking a little bit about Earl Thompson earlier,
Yeah.
him being the producer that did Java 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 Java, and him being the producer that did Randy's dub that I showed you, Impact All Stars. Now this series of records, African Dub Almighty, Chapter 1, Chapter 2, 3, 4, huge in Britain. I mean, huge, very influential dub. Totally different style than King Tubby's. King Tubby's had the sliding, you know, knobs. Earl Thompson had buttons. And the further along the series went, the wilder the effects got. So you'd have, you know, these otherworldly rhythm coming down, and you'd have dogs barking and doorbells ringing and phones and toilets flushing and all kinds of crazy shit.
And for me, that's cool for a little punk kid to hear, you know.
Yeah. I mean, all the punks bought African Dub Volume 3 and Volume 4 in Britain at least.
These are 1 and 2 off of, these are North Parade, obviously, reissues. They did 1, 2, 3, 4 in single CDs, and I was buying them, but you know I was like, well, I can get 3 and 4, and then this one comes up. This is 3 and 4 on Crazy Joe Records.
Wow.
3 and 4. And this is I've never seen this since.
Yeah, I haven't seen that version of it.
It's the same version. It's just a different packaging, all in one disc. They could have done these on one disc.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying. You know what it's about.
I have the series African Dub on a completely different label.
What label?
I think it's Rocky One, which is Gibbs.
No fucking shit. And do they do
Gibbs Kids label.
individual?
No, 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4.
That's how it should be.
Yeah.
That's how it should be.
Yeah.
You know what they're doing here.
They're making the money.
Yeah, making them a lot. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get this because I was like, what's a different label?
Yeah.
I mean, fuck. Distributed by Joe Gibbs Europe. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Roots Reggae and is a medicine for the world.
Oh, this is a French label. I see.
Nutty though.
I doubt they're still around.
Fuck no, man. I've never seen. As long as I've been collecting, you know, reggae music for nearly 20 years, I've never seen anything else on there.
Yeah.
You know.
That's a good introduction to some of our dub stuff, and we hope you check some of it out. You know, if you can't find it, look on YouTube. I know I'm going to be looking on YouTube for a couple things after this.
Well, I guess a good thing with the if you want to get into it inexpensively, you just get the Blood and Fire compilations because you can still get those cheap, and look out for new North Parade reissue because that's what they're going to be doing on that Blood and Fire thing.
Yeah, and it's probably going to be. They've got the money. They've got the ability to make it sound really good and crisp.
They're the biggest, pretty much the biggest label.
Yeah.
How you could still call them independent,
Yeah.
I have no clue, but they do. They still call themselves an independent label. So what is North Parade's a subsidiary of VP?
VP.
I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Sure is.
And Green Sleeves, VP bought Green Sleeves, so there hasn't been Green Sleeves.
Oh wow.
Yeah. You notice you never see Green Sleeves stuff anymore?
I
They
didn't
bought
know if
them
that
out.
was just. I
They
didn't know
bought
if that
them
was all
out.
part of the, you know, the whole decline of the.
No, they bought them.
Interesting. So what about all those series? Like Green Sleeves would have Strictly the Best, and you
It's
know,
a
VP
sad-
would have, you know, Reggae Gold, and
They
you know.
Well, Strictly the Best, VP still continues with, but you know, we want to talk about more about like the reissues of the classics.
Yeah.
And the only thing that VP has right now that could do that is probably North Parade. But I've already gotten a couple off of there, so.
Very nice.
Well, hey, look at that. Perfect timing.
Yeah. Well, we hope to see you guys next time. We're going to be doing a full thing of dub. And I know that I'm going to bust out some good stuff for you. So
right.
Hope to see you guys next time. And I guess we'll sign off. I'm Old School Bat.
I'm
Dan's O'Neill, and Zip Zam Bowie Swoosh. Peace.
See you later. But, oh, okay.